I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Today, I'm going to talk about Democrats, and I'm going to talk about Democrats in particular, but actually, this can be applied to Republicans. And I want to explain to you why politicians love to talk about slavery. Most politicians never experienced slavery. They never went through it. They never experienced Jim Crow. They never experienced racism. But why would they be so quick to talk about it? And it has to do with a big lesson in empathy. And my wife actually briefed me to some of this, as well as Dr. Nicole Price. So what I'm going to do is break this down for you and help you understand the emotional manipulation of politicians. So hit the thumbs up button, get comfortable. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I hope you guys are doing well. I want to say hello to everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever it is, whatever part of the world you're in. And I also want to say, do a quick audio check really quick. Give me a quick yes if you can hear me okay. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm looking through the chat, and I see Thomas Miller says, I vote you return the money that you helped Jay Morrison steal from Black Americans. Well, actually, Thomas, I hate to disappoint you, brother, but actually, I did not own any piece of the Tulsa real estate fund other than the $10,000 I invested, and I did not get any of that money back. And so, unfortunately, the Tulsa real estate fund did not work out. And also, I was not affiliated. I was not in a board meeting. I was never in any meetings to create the fund or anything like that. So I don't know anything about the management of that fund. However, if you were in the Tulsa real estate fund, Thomas, you should reach out to them and talk to them, because I know that there's some people upset about it, and as you should be. But just remember, when you invest, do your due diligence, because at the end of the day, investment does involve risk, and there is a chance that the investment may not work out. So anyway, with that being said, I want to say hello to Yoshika and Richard Knox. Good to see you. I see, let's see who else is in here. I see Vincent. Good to see Vincent from the Philippines. Let's see, Lamont Watkins. Tia, good to see you. All right, so everybody can hear me okay? All right, if you can hear me okay, let me know if you can hear me, and then we can kind of get started on this conversation. All right, so let me tell you what was on my mind. My wife, you may or may not know this, but my wife actually is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. And there she is actually. We came back from Egypt, and she ran into Brittany Griner in the airport. How funny is that? So this is a picture of my wife and Brittany in the airport. And Brittany is just as tall in real life as she is on TV. And her voice wasn't as deep, but if you saw Brittany, she mentioned she was about to be a Pops. And that's debatable as to whether or not she could be a Pops. But hey, it's up to you to decide what it takes to be a Pops. But anyway, she was very nice. And my wife took a picture because our girls support the WNBA. And that's what it was. But anyway, my wife is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. And she does this book club where she talks about relationships. And as you know, all she does all day is she talks to individuals and couples and families about their relationships. And I've mentioned to you all that broken relationships is a multi-trillion-dollar loss for the African-American community. It is something that costs us dearly on a regular basis. And it's up to us to decide if we're going to fix that. So anyway, one thing that she does as a public service is she runs a book club where she's reading a book out loud right now called How to Be an Adult in Relationships. And she's actually doing that later on today on Fly Nubian Queen. If you want to get an invitation to my wife's book club, it's free. Just text the word love to 87948. Text love to the number 87948, and I'll have her send you a text to let you guys know that she's going to go live. She's going to actually do that tonight. She does it every Sunday. And so anyway, one thing that she brought up to me that made me sort of think to do this conversation today is she talked about how in relationships, people can use empathy. And Dr. Nicole Price, also shout out to her because she also has talked about this. They can use empathy for manipulation. Empathy, that ability to really feel your pain, that ability to understand what you've gone through, that ability to kind of connect to whatever it is that you're concerned about, that people use that as a tool of manipulation, where it might pretend to be love and it might look like love, but it's not really love. And politicians are masters at the use of empathy to get you to do what they want you to do. In fact, Dr. Nicole Price, who gave a TED Talk in Morehouse recently, talked about how pimps are really good with empathy. Let me know if you've noticed that. Like pimps are smart. Pimps know how to figure out where your pain points are. Pimps know how to manipulate you strategically to get you to do whatever. And next thing you know, you're on the corner in a mini skirt because you think this man loves you, but really he never loved you. He just sort of knew how to trigger whatever pain and trauma you experienced as a child. Let me know if you've seen this before. So, and some of you may have been pimped in your own relationships. So the biggest pimps in the world to me are politicians, not just the Democrats, but the Republicans too. I think that the Democrats are probably better at manipulating black people because they depend more heavily on the black vote. The Democrats get more black votes than Republicans do. Republicans are trying to become the pimps. They're trying to replace the original pimps. But right now, so far, the Democrats are the biggest pimps on the block, not because they're liberal or conservative, but because they just they get more black votes than anybody else. So I'm going to read some stuff to you guys that will help you to understand how this empathy, how this sort of like, I feel your pain, I know what you've gone through, you went through slavery, how that is not only used to manipulate you and to trigger you, it's also used as a way to avoid actually doing anything. I'm not telling you not to be a Democrat. Let's just start right there. I have to do this every conversation we have about politics because one way the propaganda works is they try to label people like me as Republicans. You're never going to call me a Republican just because I don't vote for Democrats. I'm never going to let you enslave me. This ain't 1822. You're not doing that to me. So F you if you think you're going to come in here and use propaganda. So anyway, give me a guess if you agree that a person who is not a Democrat is not necessarily a Republican. Also, give me a yes if you understand that I'm not telling you who to vote for. And also, in fact, actually, when I talk about economics, another thing, when I answered the brother earlier about the stuff going on with the Tulsa Fund, I told you guys I don't give investing advice on this platform. I'll tell you what I'm invested in, but I do not give investing advice. So do not do something just because I said it. Do it because you've also done your due diligence and you feel comfortable taking on the risk. That's what's really important too, because I want to make sure we're clear about that. All right, so thank you for the yeses. Hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. All right, so let me share something with you. And this is something I played this before, but I'm bringing it back up because I think it's worth talking about. Kamala Harris, this is Kamala Harris talking about reparations and slavery. And I want you to listen to this very carefully. And here's what I want you to listen for. I want you to listen for her empathy. I want you to listen for her telling, like reframing the problem, restating the problem, but not really providing a solution. This is a common tactic that is used by anybody that wants to manipulate. I'm not saying Kamala's the only pimp in politics. The Republicans will probably do the same thing as well. But I want you to listen for this as I play this. So I'm gonna play this clip, and also let me know if you can hear it. I'll make sure my audio is good. Let me hit this button. Here we go. So they're asking her about reparations. So they're specifically saying, are you going to pay reparations to black people? So listen to how she restates the problem, but doesn't really offer a clear solution. Here we go.
There has to be some form of reparations, and we can discuss what that is. But look, we're looking at more than 200 years of slavery. We're looking at almost 100 years of Jim Crow. We're looking at legalized segregation and in fact, segregation on so many levels that exist today based on race. And there has not been any kind of intervention done, understanding the harm and the damage that occurred to correct course. And so we are seeing the effects of all of those years play out still today.
As president, you would be willing to lead a conversation on what reparations for black people would look like.
Yeah, including things like what we should be doing to take very seriously undiagnosed and untreated trauma.
Do you support reparations for black people?
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people.
Okay. So did y'all hear that? Give me a guess if you heard that. Let me know if you heard that. And Yusuf says, please stay talking about finance instead of politics. The fact that you seem to talk about politics and never mention policy shows that to be in there talking about clips and okay, yeah, well, you know what? Finance is politics and politics is finance. So if you don't understand the connection between the two, then maybe perhaps that's something I can explain to you. If you are black, one thing I need you to understand is that the reason that your vote doesn't really matter very much is because of the financial situation that you're in. The reason that your vote it gets muted, the reason that your vote doesn't have the weight that it should, is because there are two types of people in politics. There are two types of people that try to move the political needle. There are voters and there are financiers. The voters are the pawns. The voters are the people that get triggered on various social issues, whether it's abortion or it's reparations or it's something related to LGBT rights or whatever. That's what you are. You're the voter. But the people who move politics are the financiers. The people who spend the money are the ones who go out and buy the votes. They give them money so they can do one thing with that money, and that is to run marketing campaigns to buy votes. So you are the commodity. You're not necessarily the person who drives the ship. And let me explain. It's like if I run a farm and the goal is to raise chickens to be sold to KFC, the chickens may be the biggest group in the equation, but the chickens do not run the damn farm. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? The chickens do not run the farm. The chickens are the commodity on the farm. The farmer runs the damn farm. The people who pay for the farm runs the farm. The person who wrote the check for the farm owns the farm. Do you understand? So the problem is that you are the chickens on the farm, but you don't own the damn farm. That's why the Jewish community has 100 times more power in politics than your black ass will ever have. And I hate to say it like that. It's true. Their percentage of the population is like this. Your percentage is more like that. And they understand how to write a check. They understand how to raise money. They understand how to use their economic understanding to run multi-billion-dollar corporations. They're very intelligent in that way. So you, unfortunately, were led to believe this fairy tale that says that if you show up and vote after church, that you can somehow change policy. And what I would challenge you on before you get mad, because I know some people just get mad when I say this, and I get it. You get mad because I'm disrupting your schemata. I'm laying out something that you've never really heard before, because all they want to do is manipulate you. But before you get mad, I need you to instead of getting mad, give me proof. Give me evidence to show that black wealth has gone up as a result of who you voted for. Black people ranked dead last in wealth 50 years ago. Black people are dead last today. In education, we've been dead last. When it comes to families, our families have fallen apart. There are communities all throughout this country that have been run by the same political parties that have not gotten better at all. The violence has gotten worse, and they're run by Democrats. So again, I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. I don't do that. But what I am here to tell you is that if you don't understand why a finance professor will be talking about politics, that means you understand neither finance nor politics. America is not a democracy. America's not a damn democracy. Stop believing America's a democracy. Well, the Republicans are going to destroy our democracy. Your democracy is gone. Do y'all understand when they started allowing, go back about 10, 15 years, when people like former Labor Secretary Robert Reich and others were very concerned about landmark Supreme Court decisions that allowed corporations to basically be treated like people. And they said, so you can give a bunch of money and basically your money became a vote. Your democracy died when the money got into the equation. Money is like a powerful chemical that you maybe should use to clean your sink, or you should use it to wash your car or something. But if it gets in your bloodstream, it's going to kill you. So money should flow through our society. Money is very important. But when you let money get into your politics, it destroys your politics. So your democracy, stop thinking you're saving democracy by whoever you're voting for. You can't save democracy. Your democracy is gone. It's buried. It's buried under the money. That's it. So that's one of the reasons why, as a finance professor, I tell black folks all the time, I say, our solution is not in the politics, it's in the money. And once you get the money, then you can control the politics, because the money controls the politics. And I'm not the only one who said this. Dr. Claude Anderson has said this in his book, Powernomics. You can get a copy at powernomics.com. He's a great man. Everyone should hear from him. There's a reason why the politicians don't want you reading Dr. Claude Anderson. There's a reason why they ignore Dr. Claude Anderson. There's a reason why they don't want people like him at the table. They'd rather talk to Plies or D.L. Hughley or somebody who's going to go ahead and go along with the program, or Ricky Smiley, who's going to say, everybody need to just throw up and vote. You got to all throw up and vote. Don't throw up and vote, then you don't count because you got to go vote. Don't be asking no questions, y'all. Don't be asking no questions. You heard Ricky Smiley talk. I mean, he sounds ridiculous, the poor guy, but I hope he's not as dumb as he sounds. He sounds incredibly unintelligent, but he's literally just listen. I mean, it's crazy. And it's like there's no logic, there's nothing there that makes sense. It's all built on the same model of let's scare the hell out of black people and get them to do the exact same thing they do in every election. And then somehow magically they think things are going to get better, and they never get better. Maybe because you don't want to get better. Maybe it's because you believe that if we just preserve the status quo, then that's the best that we're ever going to get. That if we start, sort of protesting the idea that that colonizers are beating the hell out of us, that they're going to beat us worse because we're protesting. I don't know what the logic is over there, but it doesn't make any sense. And you really shouldn't do that. And what they're doing is unfortunately downright criminal. It's downright criminal because you can't logically provide any proof that this is significantly improving the lives of black people. You can point to policies that they're passing on behalf of other white folks. You can you can say, well, they're allowing access to childcare, or they've got a housing tax credit that benefits black people too. Okay, I hear what you're saying, but I want you to go back and show me where black wealth is actually going up as a result of any of these policies. You really can't show that because it is the actions of individual black people that are making the difference, not the politics. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Tomorrow or this week, we're actually doing, if you want to learn real black history, we actually believe that our people should be teaching our own kids. And so we brought in Cody Ransom, who's an expert on Black Wall Street. He's about to do a 6-week masterclass on the true history of Black Wall Street and all the things that they're never going to tell you in school. So if you'd like to take a look at that course and sign up, you can go to b1wallstreet.com. You saw Cody Ransom here the other day. He's extremely talented, extremely intelligent. He's also coming to the All Black National Convention. The All Black National Convention is in Chicago, Illinois. It's right outside of Chicago, actually, in Lombard, Illinois. And it's a gathering of intelligent black people from around the world who want to solve problems for our community. Every year we sell out, and our goal is not to have, tens of thousands of people. That's not our goal. We don't bring in a bunch of rappers and celebrities and a bunch of nonsense. We do have some rappers that participate, but they have to show that they're really committed to the issue. And we just bring in, a lot of doctors and lawyers and dentists and intelligent black people and families and mothers and fathers and teachers and activists and social workers and therapists that really want to solve our problems. This is our institution. We're not sponsored by the Democrat or the Republican Party, so you can be a member of any party you want and nobody's going to shame you. It's also not sponsored by corporations. We don't do Black Liberation brought to you by McDonald's. We do this every year. This is going to be year number 9. So if you'd like to join us, just go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Okay, so anyway, let me keep going here. And it's October 25th through the 27th. That's the date of the convention if you want to join us there. All right, so we're talking about empathy and how politicians use empathy to manipulate voters, and how this is something that's used. Particularly, my wife actually, as she was preparing for her book club tonight, where she's reading a book called How to Be an Adult in Relationships. She came into me. She said, Boyce. I said, what? She said, oh, she read a segment in her book where they talked about how a traumatized, abused person is especially vulnerable in love relationships, because a person who is traumatized and abused has a lot of pain. A person who's traumatized and abused has a lot of really toxic, negative memories that they're kind of carrying. They have this baggage. And a person who manipulates you in a relationship, tell me if you've ever seen this. A person who wants to manipulate you in a relationship will connect to you, give you a false connection by connecting to your pain. Like, they'll talk to you like, oh gosh, I know it must have been hard for you to be abused. Oh, I know it was hard when that man left you. I know that must have just broke your heart. It must have been terrible for you. You deserve better than that. Oh my gosh, you need a man that's going to treat you right. Tell me if you've seen this before, right? Tell me if you've seen this type of pimping before. And what she said is that, unfortunately, that's why abused, traumatized people get slapped around like little rag dolls. They literally get slapped around like rag dolls in one bad relationship after another, because because unfortunately they can attract people who in a predatory nature will connect to their pain just so they can manipulate them into doing something that they need them to do or doing something that's not in their best interest. She said that it's okay to connect to the pain if you truly want to help the person. Like if you're truly trying to make their life better, truly trying to help them, then yes, it is important to acknowledge the pain. But what you have, and shout out to Dr. Nicole Price, who spoke on this as well, is you have these sort of false connectors who come along, and she actually used an example of a pimp who was really good, the pimp in her neighborhood who was really good at empathizing, who was really good at basically knowing what you're going through, knowing how you're feeling, and he could talk you through it, and the next thing you know, he's got you out here, being pimped. And so anyway, she's going to do her book club meeting tonight. If you want to join her book club and get an invitation, just text the word love to 87948. I think you're going to like what she has to say. Text love to 87948, and I'll have her send out an invitation. But long story short, one of the things when she brought that up, she said that's what the Democrats are doing to Black people. They every time they'll talk about what you're going through, but they don't actually do anything about it. If you listen to them carefully and you say, okay, now that you've mentioned, if you listen to Kamala's statement, the one I played earlier, Kamala basically did a really good job of summarizing everything Black people have gone through. So they say, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to pay reparations, right? So she could just say yes or no. She could just say, I support reparations for African Americans, period, right? But instead she pauses and she goes, well, let's see what you got. First you have hundreds of years of slavery. And then you have another 100 years of Jim Crow. And then you have another, right? And she lays out all of the problems and all of the effects of the problem, but does not lay out a solution to solve the problem. So I'm gonna play this one more time for those of you who just came in, because I think this is really powerful in terms of understanding. If you ever want to understand the source of Black political manipulation, I think this is a good place to start.
No, so I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit Black people.
Let me
I
play
think there has to be some form of reparations, and we can discuss what that is. But look, we're looking at more than 200 years of slavery. We're looking at almost 100 years of Jim Crow. We're looking at legalized segregation and in fact segregation on so many levels that exist today based on race. And there has not been any kind of intervention done, understanding the harm and the damage that occurred to correct course. And so we are seeing the effects of all of those years play out still today.
As president, you would be willing to lead a conversation on what reparations for Black people would look like.
Yeah, including things like what we should be doing to take very seriously undiagnosed and untreated trauma.
Do you support reparations for Black people?
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people.
Okay, so I'm curious. I'd like to get your opinion. Do you, in that statement, yes or no, do you feel that she was saying that she's going to address reparations, that she's going to actually pay reparations to Black people? Did anybody get that impression? I think someone said that she said something like, well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it seems to me that if she was going to pay reparations, she would say in clearer terms, she would say, yes, I support reparations for Black people in America. Like that would be just, I mean, that's a clear statement. That's not a hard statement to make. Instead, she took a statement that could be made in 10 seconds and stretched it out into, almost like a white version of a Black history lesson that lasted a good 2 or 3 minutes. The lady didn't say, I want you to state the history of Black people in America. She didn't say, can you explain all the different ways that Black people have been oppressed? She didn't say, or the man didn't say, hey, can you just give me a summary of the last 400 years of things that you think that we don't know about our own experience? He didn't ask for none of that. He didn't ask for any of that. So, and if you notice also, the talking points are almost identical 4 years apart. The exact same thing she said in 2024 with the root is similar to what she said in 2020 with the griot. And also notice that that they tend to want to speak with outlets that are more forgiving, right? Now, again, nothing against the root and the griot, but the root and the griot are kind of vote blue no matter who. Unfortunately, that's kind of where they end up fitting. They don't really have the credible threat to say, if you don't deliver, we out of here. If you don't give us what we're looking for, we're gone. We're not supporting you if you don't. And that's really what you honestly need. If you really want to make things happen in politics, you have to have what they call in political science. They refer to this as a credible threat. You have to have a credible threat to say, if you don't do what I say, then you're not going to get the compensation that you're asking for. You have to be able to do what your boss does. Your boss says, look, if you don't show up to work, you're going to get fired. Period. Your boss doesn't say, we're going to ask you to show up for work, and you can if you want to, because we know we can't fire you because, you're the only person that we have that can do this job. So you can come to work if you want. We're just going to politely ask you. And hey, if you don't, that's okay, bud. That's all right. They don't do that. They don't tell me, am I lying or what? Like they don't tell you show up if you feel like it. Because a lot of y'all, if you didn't have to go to work, you wouldn't. You'd say, I stubbed my toe this morning and my foot hurts, so I'll be in on Tuesday, right? But what they say is, look, if you don't bring your ass to work, you're gone. You're out of here. They have a credible threat. And so ultimately, it is the lack of a credible threat from the Black community that tends to cause this benign neglect. That's the specific term that's used. Benign neglect is where you pretend to pay attention to something, but you really don't. You kind of act like you care, but you really don't. When it comes time to put the foot to the fire and actually get something done, you don't actually show up. So that's what you're getting in politics. And this is a dogma. This is a policy that's been in place for a very long time. And this is something that works particularly well with African Americans because African Americans are accustomed to being ignored. So because you are accustomed to being ignored, you sort of get in this space where you're like, yeah, as long as you acknowledge us, as long as you just let us know that you see us, then that's enough for us. That's enough. And some of us are saying, no, that's not enough. You have to do more than acknowledge us. Now, I'm going to actually show y'all something. This benign neglect, this sort of need for acknowledgement, this low self-esteem thing, it doesn't just happen with Democrats. I saw a video today. I put it on my Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance, by the way. And I share stuff on my Instagram that isn't going to make sense to you because it's not like I only sit around and post financial stuff all day. But I do have another Instagram, Dr. Boyce Money, where I only put financial stuff. But this is where I put anything that's interesting to me, anything that's funny or whatever. So check this out. This is where the Black Republicans, had an event. And they were having some sort of Black MAGA thing or something. And they thought Trump was coming to their Black Republican event and Trump stood them up. And this reminded me of when that Black woman was looking for that hug from Joe Biden and he kind of blew her off. So anyway, check this out. Here it goes.
The Black delegate event during the RNC, and something really interesting happened. The event was taking place away from the main convention center. And in the middle of it, unexpectedly, former President Donald Trump's motorcade could be heard approaching the event from a distance. People have been having a great time before that moment, but you should have seen the excitement on people's faces when they realized it was Trump approaching their event. It really felt like this big moment of acknowledgement, the perfect punctuation in a banner year for Black Republicans. Journalists and news crews were scrambling to get into position to make sure they captured that moment when he comes to this event. But then his motorcade just drove by. It turned out he wasn't coming to the event. It wasn't on his schedule.
He waved at us. In case you didn't see it, he waved.
The disappointment for this group of Black Republicans was tangible and kind of poetic. Make American politics inhospitable to racists. I'm all in on that platform. But the reality is that racists, or at least racism enablers, were present and accounted for at the RNC. They were given stage time, had exclusive access, and seemed central to the whole operation. And I'll tell you what did not feel central. Black people. I actually attended the Black delegate event during the RNC, and something.
Okay, so you guys heard that. I don't know who this brother is. Feel free to shout him out. if you know his name. And it seems to me that he believes that the racism in politics tends to belong exclusively to the Republican Party. And I don't doubt him for a second when he says that Republicans don't necessarily care a whole lot about black people. I don't doubt that at all. I would just say that number one, I think Democrats show the same propensity to not care about black people. When I was working with Ice Cube, the rapper, to get the Democrats and Republicans to pay attention to the black community, we got a call, or he got a call, and he called me to tell me about the call from a leading black Democrat who basically said, behind closed doors, she said, "Thank you for doing what you're doing, because our party firmly believes that black people don't deserve anything." She said, "It is very difficult for us to get anything done." And she said that it's because black people are so complacent that they don't demand anything. She said that they are accustomed to black people being happy with whatever they can get. So when we come in and say, "Hey, we're giving you our vote, we want something from you," and this is a Democrat, this is a high-ranking Democrat who said this. She said they ignore us because they're like, "Why should we do anything for black people? Because black people don't ask for anything." And I saw this personally myself when I also worked with a guy named Russell Simmons on a mass incarceration campaign in 2013. We approached the Obama administration, and all we did was we asked them to just keep a campaign promise. That's all we did. All we did was we said, "Hey, you said you were going to change incarceration policy. We'd like for you to do that, please." And they fought us tooth and nail. And I put this on a stack of Bibles. I put it on everything I love. I put it on my late grandma. And y'all know how much I love my grandma. I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely floored by how hard they worked to make sure that they didn't have to do anything. We had to put weight on them. We had to use celebrity names. Russell knows all the celebrities. And it was honestly just when Justin Bieber tweeted out a link to the letter I wrote to the president. It was literally, like, you had all these celebrities. I'm talking about Will and Jada signed the letter. Chris Rock signed the letter. Even Lil Wayne and Rick Ross signed the letter. Probably as a favor to Russell, not as a favor to me, because I have an issue with some of these rappers. But it was literally Justin Bieber tweeting out the hashtag and a link to the letter that caused it to trend to be the number 3 hashtag in the world. And that it was only then that they eventually said, "Okay, we're going to do something to get this heat off our back." So what happens with politicians, I think you got to understand this. And this is why, unfortunately, our community collectively is not mature enough to play the game of politics at the highest level, is you got to play hard with these suckers. You got to be serious. Do you understand what I'm saying? You got to be a grown-up. You can't be no damn little kid. You can't show up begging. You can't show up like a punk. You can't show up asking politely. You got to demand. You got to make them do it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm not telling you not to be a Democrat. I'm not telling you not to be a Republican. That's up to you. What I'm saying is, if you're going to be a Democrat, be a serious damn Democrat. If you're going to be a Republican, be a serious Republican. If you're going to be independent, be serious about that. Be serious about your community, defend your community, fight for what you believe in, and stop letting these people finesse you into a bunch of nonsense. And so anyway, I'm going to read something to you guys. I looked up some different ways that empathy is used in fake relationships to get people to think that you care about them when you really don't. And I'm going to read this to you, and you can do with this as you wish. Before I move on, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. This podcast is on Spotify. If you look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown on Spotify, you can find it there. Also, tomorrow, the 19th, we're starting the Black Investors Cup. It's too late to sign up. It's already sold out and everything else. But if you want to follow along, you can. I believe deeply in my background. I'm a finance professor, and I believe deeply that all Black families should know how to invest. I believe that Black ownership, Black wealth, Black businesses, Black investing is the key to Black liberation. I'm not a big fan of us thinking that voting is going to do it, because we've tried that. We tried voting 60 years. That's fine. Keep voting. But as you're doing that, make sure you build your wealth. So if you'd like to learn more about the Black Investors Cup, feel free to go to blackinvestorscup.com. Also, we're going to do group trips to different countries and stuff like that. We just went to Egypt. We're going to go to Black Wall Street in Tulsa in November, and then we're going to go to Ghana, I believe, in the spring. So if you'd like to join the B1 Travel Club and be notified, text the word travel to the number 87948, and I'll let you guys know when we plan the next trip. Text travel to 87948. All right, so let me read this to you. This is basically a set of ways that empathy can be used as a tool for political manipulation. Y'all ready? Let me know if you can hear this. Number one, emotional appeal. Empathy allows candidates to connect emotionally with an oppressed group by acknowledging their struggles and showing understanding. This emotional connection can make the group feel seen and heard, increasing their trust in the candidate. So if you notice, that's one of the things that both Trump and Kamala use, is they use this emotional appeal to let you believe that you're seen and that you're heard. And we say, oh, thank you so much for acknowledging us, but then nothing actually gets done. Promise of change. By displaying empathy, candidates can position themselves as champions for the oppressed, promising policies or changes that will address their specific issues. This can lead to the perception that the candidate genuinely cares about their well-being. Now, I don't know exactly what Kamala cares about. I don't know exactly what Trump cares about, but I assume that Kamala and Trump probably care about Kamala, and they probably care about Trump. I think Trump cares about his money. Kamala cares about her power. Kamala, if you look at her history, she's, she had strategic relationships with Doug Emhoff, her husband, as well as Willie Brown and all this. And it seemed to me that she was kind of wiggling her way to the top. If you look at the history of Kamala, when she was with Willie Brown, she didn't have much power. She was an assistant district attorney or something. And then suddenly when she got with Willie in that relationship, suddenly she got all these powerful, important positions, which made a big difference in her political career. You can't walk away from that. It is what it is. You can make of it what you want. With Trump, he got his power mostly from his family. His father, Fred Trump, gave him millions of dollars to let him go out and do a bunch of business stuff, and he became a real estate guy. And a lot of rappers, a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of rappers and black people really looked up to Trump up until he became a Republican. When he became a Republican, the Democrats said, well, you can't be his friend because he's not a Democrat. And so suddenly we put that whole racist label on it. But if you go back 15 years, you won't see people calling them racist. You'll see every rapper, every black person, every black celebrity, every black activist running to take pictures with Donald Trump. And this to me is it's part of that whole manipulation. I'm not here to say the Republicans aren't racist. I'm never going to argue with you about that. Fine. If you get caught up in what white people think about you, then I'm going to agree with you 100%. But what I am going to say is that you have just as many racists in the Democratic Party as you do in the Republican Party. The Democratic Party racism is insidious and problematic because they expect to have your vote. They demand to have your vote. They tell you that you have to vote for them damn near. They will ridicule you, chastise you, abuse you, and disrespect you because you did not vote for them. They show up and they say, bitch, you better give me your vote, ho. And they literally just yell at you like a damn pimp and then get mad because you say, I don't think I have to vote for you. I'm not going to vote for you. And then they get into voter shaming. Tell me if you've seen this. That's when they get the Ricky Smileys and the Roland Martins and the D.L. Hughleys to call you dumbasses and to attack you and to abuse you the same way a racist would. That's what a racist does. That's what a racist does. A racist is a person who tells you, you better do what the hell I tell you to do. I'm going to whoop your ass. So you tell me where the racism's at. Stop telling me that only the Republicans are racist. If you are in my face telling me that I can't do what I want to do as a free American, you can kiss my whole entire black ass. I told y'all about, I told, and I'm sorry, D.L. Hughley, I have no idea why this guy got on the phone with me and had that crazy conversation we had. It was the weirdest discussion I've ever had with another person. I felt sorry for him. I said, you're out of your mind. So my point is, I said, wait, so you're up here telling me that because I don't vote for whatever white man you voting for? Because I'm sorry, Kamala ain't really African-American. Kamala is half Jamaican. Good for her. Because I love it. Great. But that ain't African-American. That is not African-American. They pick specific kinds of black people because they want to avoid you. They don't want to talk to African-American people about African-American issues. They want to talk to rappers, or they want to talk to people who are ambiguously black, mulatto, bilingual. That they call that the bougie buffer. That term, there's a term for that. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know people like W.E.B. Du Bois versus, say, Booker T. Washington? 100 years ago, they talked about this. 100 years ago, they talked about the bougie buffer. The bougie buffer is the boule and the mulatto and the black person who's kind of black because they come from a black country, but they're not really African-American. Nothing against those individuals, by the way. I'm not making fun of anybody in that group, but unfortunately, some people are positioned in the bougie buffer. The Divine Nine. I love y'all. My sisters are AKA. All y'all AKAs, I give a big ski wee to all of y'all because I love you. I had a relationship with an awesome AK. I almost married an AK. My sister's an AK. So y'all are my sister-in-laws, but y'all are part of the bougie buffer. If you are in there saying everybody needs to go vote for this person and you can't tell us why, you can't give us specific reasons why our lives are going to get better because of this, or you're somehow denying our right and our ability to make our own decision, then you've been positioned as part of the bougie buffer. Because yeah, you're going to get a better black job. You might get a couple of opportunities from it. There are some elites that will benefit if Kamala gets into the White House. But if you go, but I dare you to go down to the west side of Chicago, and I want you to see if fewer babies are being shot in the west side of Chicago as a result of this election. And when you go look at black wealth and you measure black wealth and whether or not we're closer to getting reparations or business ownership or the wealth levels that we deserve, I want you to see if any of all this voting that we've been doing is making a difference. Unfortunately, in the black community, politics is kind of a sport. Politics for you has been made into a sport where you cheer for your favorite team, not because it's going to make a difference in your life, but you do it because that's just your favorite team. It's the same reason, same way I cheer for the Dallas Cowboys every season. It breaks my heart because they suck and they always get beat in the second round of the playoffs. But never once did I ever believe that the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl is going to help me pay the rent. Never once did I ever believe that the Dallas Cowboys scoring a touchdown means Jerry Jones is going to send me a check. But I have my favorite players. Deion Sanders is one of them. That's the only football jersey I have on my wall behind me because I love Coach Prime. I love what he does. But at the same time, I don't ever make the mistake of believing that somehow the Dallas Cowboys' success should be more important than the success of my family. And never have I believed that the two are connected. So it's okay for you to vote for your favorite Democrat. It's okay for you to cheer for your favorite Republican. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But where the mistake is made is somehow believing that you not doing what you are told is going to be the end of your freedom, the end of democracy, or your life is going to be destroyed. That is not true. That is not true. Don't tell me about Project 2025 and try to scare me with Project 2025. Y'all don't understand. The project you need to worry about is Project 1985. That was a glaring success. Project 1985 was when they dumped drugs in your black community, and no Democrat stepped up to stop that. They dumped crack cocaine in your community, so half your damn babies ain't got a father in the house. Project 1995 was called the Biden Crime Bill. The Biden Crime Bill was an enormous success in the genocidal extermination of black families. Now you have a community that is 100% matriarchal where the women are running the show because they feel like the men can't be depended on. Project 2034 is a project that I'm worried about because you know what Project 2034 is? You know what that is? That is where they allow so many people from south of the border that they bring into the country to be here in this country. They give them a fast track to citizenship so that they can annihilate the black vote. They don't mind hearing from black people, but they do not like hearing from intelligent black people. They don't mind hearing from ignorant folks, but they don't want to hear from people who are thinkers. They don't mind hearing from black people who do what they're told, but they don't want to hear from black people who are demanding something in exchange for their vote. So Project 2034, they don't call it this, but this is what it is where they open the border, the southern border, which they've already done this, and they're letting in millions of people from other countries. They're being brought in. Tell me if you've seen this. Let me know if you've seen this. They're being shipped into black communities and being given resources that the black people can't even get. They're giving them money that black people can't get. This was on the Breakfast Club. There was actually somebody on the Breakfast Club who was talking to Charlemagne about this. And he was basically saying that they're giving them resources that black people can't even receive. Black people have been asking for this for the longest, and they don't give it to them. Let me see if I can find this. You know what? I'm not gonna find it. It's a Breakfast Club clip. I put it on my Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance, so you can go check out this clip. Go check out this clip. They literally so the goal is okay. We're gonna flood the country with people from other countries, train them on how to become Democrats, so that eventually we can dilute and eliminate the black vote. So not only is your vote pretty much ineffective in changing the condition of your community, the mild effectiveness of your vote is going to be eliminated. They're going to get to a point where they don't even have to talk to you in order to get elected. They're just going to go right to the Venezuelan community or something like that. They're not going to talk to you. So that's what I see. So if you talk to me about Project 2025, I want you to talk to me also about Project 2034. I want you to talk to me about Project 1995, Project 1985, and then also Project 1965, where Secretary McNamara sent 100,000 black men over to Vietnam. And that was the beginnings of destroying the black family, because a lot of those men were told, they were lied to and told they were going to get skills and jobs, but they were dropped into infantry. So a lot of black children did not have a father because of what they did in the 1960s and 1970s. So they've been doing this to you. They've been doing that to you. And by getting you to focus on what the Republicans are doing, that's sinister, they get you completely missing what the Democrats are doing. And I'm just going to tell you, I get a lot of heat because of the way I talk on these issues. But the thing is that most of these people who get mad at me, they can't prove me wrong. They can't prove to me that this stuff actually works, that it actually makes a difference. They can only get mad at me because they're like, damn, we're not used to black people actually using their brains. We want black people to simply do what they're told. And that's just wrong. That is absolutely wrong. Anyway, I'm done talking. I'm finished. I'm going to let you guys go. Again, my wife is going to do her book club tonight. If you text the word love to 87948, I'll send you a link so that you can join her tonight if you want. She's a relationship therapist and a licensed she's a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. And so she's reading a book called How to Be an Adult in Relationships. One thing that we believe in is twofold. One, that black people need therapy. If you don't heal from your pain and your trauma, then you're never going to build wealth. You're never going to build family. You're never going to be able to build the community that you're looking for. So that's something that we deeply believe in. That's why we created the first ever black financial therapy department in the Black Business School. Second of all, we believe that that really, when you're talking about relationships, there's a specific skill set that you should obtain that will help you to have those better relationships. So that's one of the things that she's doing by reading this book, How to Be an Adult in Relationships. So if you'd like to be invited, text the word love to the number 87948. And also we have some resources available to you if you want to get some financial help, or if you want to learn about things like stock options. My PhD's in finance. I talk about finance every single day. So feel free to go to drboyceoffers.com. That's drboyceoffers.com. And there's some stuff on there that can help you. And every morning we do Money in the Morning financial consciousness training. It's 100% free to the community. We talk to millions of people, and our goal is to fight. We are putting, if you want to know what the agenda is, the goal is to basically put us in a place where there's a segment of our community that leads the world when it comes to economic intelligence. I believe that if we put as much energy into our wealth as we put into basketball, football, rapping, twerking, voting, praying, marching, and all this other stuff that we do that isn't working, I believe that that's how we're going to win. So if you want to, so don't sit back and admire what the Jewish community's done. I can teach you what they've done. I can explain to you what they've done. I've been a finance professor for a long time. I taught at the University of Kentucky, Indiana University, Syracuse. There's nothing that they know that people like me don't know. So ultimately, if you want to understand how this game is played and you want to win this game, you got to focus on your wealth. You got to focus on your wealth. You got to focus on your wealth. And then as you focus on your wealth, you must conjoin that with a focus on your mental and physical health. You must focus also on your relationships, your families, your getting married and staying married if you can, having children that are mentally and physically healthy, disconnecting from all the things that are built to destroy you. Like, for example, this false idea that somehow every black child in America needs to be educated at a school being run by white people. That does not work for you. That has harmed you. That has created a bunch of little colonizers who have in blackface. Literally, you have colonialism in blackface. It's the craziest thing in the world. Like, we literally will get super educated and become our own worst enemies because they taught you how to shoot the gun. They taught you all the military tactics, and then you're using those tactics against yourself as opposed to in a way that's going to benefit you. So it's not about what you know how to do. It's really your value system that matters the most. It's not what you can do. It's what you do with what you can do. It's not just the skill set you have. It's how you apply the skill. Give me a yes if you understand. It's not just what you can do. It's why you're doing it and who you're doing it for. And one of the things that happened in China, this is really important. I brought this up to you guys. When China was the laughing stock of the world, when China was kind of like, 60 years ago, they were kind of where the black community is right now. Nobody took them seriously. They were way behind the rest of the world. Their productivity was in the garbage. They were just a joke. They were a joke of a country. Everybody was coming in and exploiting the hell out of them because they knew that this country would never be able to compete with anybody. Well, what happened in China was the same thing that's happening in the B1 community. What happened in China is that you had people who said, we're tired of this crap. We're tired of serving these colonial masters. And one of the rules that they put in place when they created the 100-year plan for world domination, they're about in year 60 of that plan, and it's going very, very well, is they said, we don't give a damn what you're doing in the world as long as if you're not doing it for China. That's what they said. They said China first. So instead of B1, which is black first, they had C1, which is China first. What they said is I don't care if you're a doctor, lawyer, engineer. If you ain't doing it for China, then it don't matter. Do you understand? So it wasn't just about what you could do. It was who you're doing it for. It wasn't just the what and the how. It was the why. And so what I ask any black person who's out here, who's you think you fancy, okay, you got your bachelor's, you got your master's, you got your JD, MBA, PhD, you got all these letters behind your name to make you feel better than other people, right? Okay, fine, I get that. But who are you doing it for? You're a plumber. Who are you plumbing for? You're a medical doctor. Who are you supporting as a medical doctor? You're an investment banker. Who are you doing it for? And show me how the majority of that effort is being applied to the people that you love. Because it doesn't matter. You could be the best chef on earth, but if your family is starving, then who gives a damn that you can cook? Nobody cares about that. So we have to redefine what it means to even be black and successful. A lot of us think success means, and I see this a lot. I see, like black women are killing it. We know black women are doing great in terms of education and starting businesses and getting great jobs. There's so many spaces where you can go in and you see black women at the highest levels, black faces in high places. I'm all for that. But one of the things that you have to be careful about is that I see a lot of people who will assume that they're doing better than you because a white man gave them a better job than he gave you. Like, oh, because I am the senior director of acquisitions at Merrill Lynch, that means I'm more successful than the black guy who drives the school bus or whatever. And I think you have to be really careful about that line of thinking, because if you go back to slavery, they always gave the black woman a better spot than the black man. That's a strategy. That's a tactic. That's the plan. They want to discoordinate what some might see as part of the natural order of things. Not to say that men automatically have to be ahead of women. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying that a lot of women don't respect men who don't make as much money as them. Tell me if you know what I'm talking about. They have a hard time respecting men who don't have the same power they have. And so if they make that a disproportionate process, like if they put the cart in front of the horse, so to speak, if they come into your community and they say, we're going to marginalize the men, we're going to isolate the men, we're going to leave the men broke, busted, and disgusted, we're not going to hire the men for the same jobs we'd hire the women for, then what you do is you create this community full of high-powered women and a bunch of broken men. And next thing you know, the women don't want to marry the men, and the men don't want to marry the women. And then at that point, you've succeeded. Divide and conquer. You've busted up the community, and a community that's busted up in that way is a community that's very easy to oppress. It's very difficult to oppress the black community when the men are strong and the men are capable and the men are on top of their game. It's very hard to do that. You can't walk in my house. I'm a strong man. I'm not scared of nobody, period. You can't walk in my house and oppress this house, because me and my wife stand unified against that oppression. It's not like I'm sitting in the basement, eating Cheetos and waiting for Massa to call me and offer me a job. No, I run a business. I am a serious player in this household. I don't lead by myself. My wife leads as well, because she gets her respect. She's a PhD. She gets all that respect. I take nothing away from that. I applaud every single thing she accomplishes. But at the same time, oh, you best know I'm showing up. Oh, no, you're not talking to my wife and not talking to me. Did that happen actually on our trip to Egypt? There was a brother that I respect. I'm not going to say his name because he may not want me to, but he was sitting with his wife, and the kid in the seat behind her was kicking the seat. And she turns and talks to the kid and says, could you please stop kicking my seat? And she talks to his mother and says, could you please ask your son to stop kicking my seat? And then the husband of the lady that she's talking to, who's the father of this kid, starts barking at this man's wife. And he turns around, he says, no, you don't talk to my wife. If you want to talk to my wife, you talk to me. That's what he stood up and he said, no, I'm intervening in this situation. So ultimately what happens here, pay attention now, is that there are people that come into the black community looking for votes, and they say, we don't want to talk to the men, we want to talk to the women. They say, we want the women to talk and the men need to shut up. Tell me if you've noticed this. Does anybody else notice this, or am I the only one? Give me a guess if you notice this. When they talk to the black community about politics, they tend to say that we want the women talking and we want the men to shut up. We don't even want the men in the room. When the black man shows up in the room, because the black man has come back. He's come back from the mass incarceration that you dumped on us with the Biden crime bill. He's come back from the crack cocaine epidemic that you put on us in the 1980s. He's come back from all the bullshit hip hop music that you've been dumping on our community, making us hate our women and disrespect ourselves. So black men have shown back up. Black men in droves and by the millions are back and saying, no. If you want to talk to my woman, you're going to talk to me. and they don't like it. They don't like it. They don't like. I'm gonna tell you, my wife. Let me just tell you, just personal. My wife is a light skinned black woman. She could easily fit into any space of white people. Like she fits into that. If she wanted to be part of that bougie buffer, the mulattoes that kind of buffer the politicians and whoever from having to deal with the black community, she could be in that space. She could be part. She could have been an AKA. The AKAs invited her in mainly because she was light skinned and gorgeous, right? But she comes from a space where the men matter. And she got that from her mother. Her mother and her father taught her that. Her father was a college professor just like me. So what tends to occur is that my wife says, yeah, I have an opinion. Yeah, I'm free and I'm a womanist. I can do what I want. But my husband matters too. So let me go talk to my husband. And let me tell you, anybody who's coming in and trying to manipulate you, they don't want to talk to your husband. That car dealer that wants to sell you that car. Tell me if you know what I'm talking about. Tell me if you get my analogy. The car dealer who's trying to finesse you into buying the car, he don't want you to say, I got to go talk to my husband first. The politician who's trying to get you to go vote blue no matter who, they don't want you to say, well, let me get influenced by my husband. Let me find out how he feels. Because here's the thing. A lot of black men feel screwed by the Democratic Party. I know a lot of straight black men who say, wait a minute, what's in it for me? There ain't nothing in this for me. Everything you're doing is feminism, gay, trans, all this other stuff. There's nothing in this for me. The Biden crime bill sent me and all my homeboys to prison 25 years ago because not because we did anything major, but because we were caught in a situation. There ain't nothing in this for us. And so the women, there are smart women that are listening to the men that are saying, yeah, we understand how you feel. And I think that what is interesting to me is how often I will see some blackface in a high place, some person in the bougie buffer who will simply, quite honestly say, black men need to shut up, or black men are ignorant, or black men are Russian bots. Tell me if you've seen this. You tend to see them on MSNBC. You tend to see on MSNBC either gay men or black feminists, maybe who are married to other women or married to a white man, who will talk about straight black males like we're the devil. Talk about straight black men like we don't even deserve to have a voice. And I think so. What you're really seeing right now is you're really seeing the reawakening of the black community. You're seeing kind of the African American version of the Arab Spring. You're seeing a scenario where black men are saying, no, I'm sorry. We matter. We're here, and we're going to use our voice. We're going to have a conversation. And there are women who are going to listen to us, whether you like it or not. And it doesn't mean that they can't make their own decision. I support every person making their own decision. I told you that. But if you're going to tell me I ain't going to have a voice, oh, that's a problem. Because you will not come into my house and talk to my wife about something that's going to happen with this family and not have me sit down in the living room, take my seat and say, so what are we doing, babe? What's going on right here? What is he asking? What's happening here? Sorry. So this is what's happening in my view. This is what I'm seeing. And this is why the Democratic Party is sick of the black community, because they're tired of men finally having a voice. So I say anybody who has a voice, keep using your voice. Your voice is important. Your voice matters. It matters just as much as the high-powered women who are wearing the chucks and the pearls. No disrespect. I told you, my sisters and AKA, I love all of y'all. But at the same time, it has to be an issue that involves the whole black family and not just what black women want because you identify with Kamala Harris or whatever. I don't have any problem with that. But at the same time, I don't identify with her as much because I identify more so with an African-American woman who's married to a black man. If Barack Obama has shown up married to a white woman, tell me if you agree with this. If he'd shown up married to a white woman and expected black women to be loyal to him, you would have flipped out. Tell me if you agree with that. I think there are a lot of black women who are getting mad at black men, like, you ain't loyal to Kamala. And I'm sitting here looking at her kissing Dougie on the screen. I'm like, well, what she need me for? She don't need me. She got Dougie. She got Dougie and all his Jewish friends. Let them go support her. She's not from my community. She's not African American. She don't believe in marrying a black man. She don't, what is it? What is there for me? There's something there for you. I get that. I respect that. But there's nothing there for me. So you know what? In this next election, maybe we're just going to have different voter outcomes, right? Seriously, like it's okay. I don't know who my wife is going to vote for. I don't ask her. I don't say, hey, babe, I need to monitor your vote and make sure you vote for who I tell you to vote for. I don't do that. So why are y'all doing it to the men? Let the men vote for who they want to vote for. Maybe they like Trump for whatever reason. There's nothing wrong with that. So I think that what has to stop is the silliness and the disrespect. To summarize it and make it very clear and very simple, people can do whatever the hell they want. Just vote for who you want to. And then after you're done voting, get together and get back to the business of rebuilding your families. After you finish voting, get together and get back to the business of dealing with the fact that trillions of dollars in your wealth has been extracted from you for the last 200, 300 years. After you finish voting, get back and go back to your neighborhood and say, well, why are our kids getting shot? Why are so many people struggling financially? Why are our families? Why do we think that a broken Black family is the standard now? Who told you that? Who told you that your children don't deserve to have a father in the house and acted like that was okay? It's not okay. It's not okay. A lot of little kids get molested because they don't have a father protecting them. That's not okay. And if you think it's okay, then I think you need some help. I really do. Anyway, I'm done talking. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'm going to get out of here. And again, just before I let you go, if you could hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, tomorrow morning, we're going to do financial consciousness training. We do this every single morning. If you want to know why my nose is a little stopped up, it's because I still got that cold from Egypt, so I apologize for that. But if you text the word money to the number 87948, I can send you a training I have called How to Make Money Without Working. It's all about stock options. All through my doctoral program, we study stock options. And so there's some stuff I can show you that can help you make money by Monday. Literally, it's very straightforward stuff. So feel free to text the word money to 87948. And our goal is to help you in the wealth area. Why? Well, because that's what I believe in. I believe in wealth. I don't really believe in politics because I know too much to unknow what I know. I know when I look at the system, I say, oh, the money's driving everything. So if we figure out the money, then we figure out everything else. But you got people that just are all over the place, and God bless them. I wish them the best, but that's not the solution I believe in. I believe that if we get our wealth right, we're going to get a whole lot of other things right. In fact, the reason that white man got his foot on your neck is because you ain't got no bread. You don't have any wealth. So you have to sell yourself and your children into slavery in order to get what you need. And that's not how an empowered group of people live. If you're going to be free, you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to make sacrifices. You're going to have to be military minded, and you're going to have discipline. And that's something that is not encouraged. Discipline is not encouraged in our community. We're encouraged to be a bunch of punks and cowards who are scared all the time. And I personally think that's why you're losing. So let's stop losing. Let's become winners. And not everybody's going to get it, but for those who get it, I applaud you. God bless you. Have a good night, everybody. I will see you soon. And this podcast is on Spotify. So if you want to check it out on Spotify, feel free to look up my name on Spotify. And also, last but not least, the All Black National Convention. It's the only independently sponsored gathering for intelligent Black people out here. My wife and I show up every single year, and hundreds and hundreds of you get together. And what we do is we gather 60 or 70 experts from our community to solve our problems. Brother Nuri Muhammad from the Nation of Islam is one of our keynote speakers. Lamar Tyler, the Black millionaire maker, is going to be there. There is no corporate sponsorship, so this is not Black Liberation brought to you by Walmart. Also, there is no Democratic or Republican nonsense. We don't care what political party you vote for. We just want you to show up as an advocate for our community. So if you want to join us at the convention, it's going to be in Chicago, Lombard, Illinois, to be specific, right outside of Chicago, October 25th through the 27th. Bring your whole family, bring your wife, your kids, your husband, whoever, your significant other. I guarantee you're going to love it. It's like a great big family reunion. So feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com, and I'll see you guys there. So take care. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you soon. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, 10, 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.